Get in on the action this season with Underdog's Pick'em game. Select higher or lower between 2 and 8 players and compete for up to 325 times your entry. Use code DIRECTOR when signing up to receive up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a free pick. Go to Bolt Fam, it's the Director. Chargers fans, hope you guys are doing well, man. Me, myself, and I'm starting to go a little stir crazy. I'm ready for Chargers football to just get here already. We got the Hall of Fame game coming up on the 31st. But till then, man, let's continue to break down the roster, make some predictions as to what we think is going to happen come kickoff. Some guys are going to rise and fall in the rosters. I do believe that we're going to see a nice bump from a lot of players contributing either in their rookie season and in their second or third year. Breakouts is what we're talking about in today's video. Players that I think can step up into an important role for this team. For example, Kyle Kennard, rookie the Chargers selected, in the middle rounds. This could end up being a player that has a light breakout with this team, and that's going to be at different levels of this because we got 10 players we're going to go through. We're not going to see 10 huge superstar breakouts, but guys that do maybe work their way onto the field a little bit more, and I think Kyle Kennard could be one of those guys this season that rotates in with Thule and Khalil and Bud and finds some decent success out there. Man, if the dude can get 4, 5, even 6 sacks, over the course of his rookie season, that would be incredible. And that is something that we've seen consistently from guys rotating in like Bud Dupree. So have to wait and see, but that's a good example. We got 10 more players that I think the Chargers could see break out in 2025. Some of them pretty insane, man. Could be team defining by the end of the season. Before we do kickoff, guys, shout out to the sponsor, Underdog. Use code DIRECTOR to receive up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Newcomers, take advantage of the gimme pick on screen. It's a great way to support me, the Director. Have some fun along the way. Before we do kickoff, hit us up with a like and sub. If you do enjoy this Chargers content, easiest way to support, costs you nothing. It definitely helps this channel grow and find a wider audience. It definitely helps me out. Thank you guys so much for getting me this far. We are just passing 54,000 subscribers. You guys are amazing. Let's get into it. Lights, camera, action.
Who's got it better than us?
Into the end zone, Charger fans are witnesses to history!
My top 10 breakout Chargers for the 2025 season. I think we got a good group of new players coming in, of returning players with some potential from even last season that are going to give us a nice bump. And one of the biggest things that I noticed about this team, everybody noticed about this team in 2024, was the involvement and presence of the rookies. Doesn't matter where they were drafted, you saw some big plays, including the guys in the middle rounds. What was it in the late rounds? The cornerbacks, Cam Hart and Tarheeb Still. Could we see more players from in and around that range make a big impact this season? At number 10, I'm going to go ahead and select Keandre Lambert-Smith as my first light breakout. You're going to see some more significant breakouts as we make our way up to number 1. But I think a lot of people maybe not paying too much attention to Lambert-Smith at this point, considering he was selected in round 5. Maybe some people considered him a reach. The Chargers wide receiver room all of a sudden looks pretty crowded, right? You Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnston, Mike Williams, Trey Harris, Keandre Lambert-Smith, Darius Davis, et cetera, et cetera. Now there's Luke Grimm out here looking really good in the offseason. What's the wide receiver room going to look like? Well, I think Keandre Lambert-Smith is going to find a nice home and a nice role with this team. It's kind of the dasher, the slasher, the guy that can get open deep. Is one of those weapons that really is unique to the situation of the Chargers. He ran an excellent was it a 4.3 7 or 4.3, something around there. Very, very fast 40 time, a 4.3, a sub 4.4. Very, very fast. The kind of weapon that the Chargers need, they haven't really had too much of it. Maybe a little bit of Darius Davis, who's more of a specialist, punt returner, or a returner in general. Keandre Lambert really is one of the first weapons that we're adding to this roster that really has a nice skill set in the deep part of the field. He had a 90 I think 8.5 receiving grade in the deep part of the field, or deep receiving grade. Absolutely stellar to see him work in Auburn in that way. And funny enough, Auburn wasn't really airing it out that much in that part of the field, so we don't really know the full potential of Keandre Lambert-Smith quite yet, but he really does represent something new and different that we haven't had on the roster that really plays to the strengths of our quarterback in Justin Herbert. Maybe we saw a little bit back in the past, with Guyton and Johnson and those guys, but this really does feel very specific to what the Chargers were lacking, and really brings a nice weapon for that specific role. And I think you're going to see him utilized more than people realize. I'm not expecting, like a 1,000-yard season, or heck, even a 700-yard season. I'm expecting big plays out of Keandre. I want people to know when he's on the field that there's a big play waiting to happen. And who knows, what happens past that. But I don't know if anybody's thinking anything past, 100, 200 yards for a fifth-round wide receiver that's buried on the depth chart at this point. I'm here to tell you that I think he's going to be utilized as that big play weapon. He's going to see more field time than we all think, and he's really going to help Justin Herbert and his ability to throw the ball deep shine this season. Watch out, man. Keandre Lambert, I think it could be fun. You saw a lot of that, again, in the Johnson and Guyton days of those guys really weren't huge names. We weren't really paying attention to who they were until they started producing big plays. I'm feeling the same sort of way about Keandre Lambert-Smith. I think he's a big play waiting to happen. I think the Chargers knew exactly what they were doing when they selected him at pick 158. Moving on to number 9, we got Naquan Jones. Naquan Jones and Deshaun Hand, as a matter of fact. I think both those guys kind of fit at this number 9 spot, considering the Chargers' need at the defensive line. Of course, we got Caldwell, who's going to certainly step into a nice role there. I almost put him here at number 9. I think that he definitely will contest for a lot of that, but I do think I like a lot of what I see at the pro level from Naquan Jones, at least. Bringing in a nice little blend of pressure and run stopping. He's got that nice size at, I think, like 313 or 15 pounds and 6'3". He's got everything you're kind of looking for at a guy that can step in and be, an answer in terms of like a rotational guy. And that's something that the Chargers really utilized last season in Teair Tart. We kind of need another new Teair Tart, considering Tart's role probably expanded this season. And I do think Jones is up to the challenge. I think he brings enough of, variety to the table in terms of where he can line up, what he can do. And we kind of do need a player like him to break out. I think Caldwell has a chance at doing that. I know Coach was super jacked at that happening, but I do think that you're going to see maybe more of a rotation between him and Caldwell and et cetera, just trying to fill out, where the veteran fits, where the rookie fits, and I think you're going to see a nice, outcome from the interior defensive line this season because of the names that we added. But just me personally, going with my gut, Naquan Jones just kind of feels like he's got the experience, he's got the size, and he's put up a decent, a little amount of production for the time that he had in Arizona. He's been kind of bouncing around, the league since being drafted in 21. I do think he's going to find a nice home here, very similar to the story of Teair Tart. He kind of bounced around until finding a really nice place for the Chargers in rotation. He ended up getting an extension this year, and I'm looking for the next Teair Tart. And I out of the 3 that I think are very, high potential of making that happen, Naquan Jones just kind of jumped off the page for me. I think Caldwell is the second in there, where I think, even in his rookie season, he could have a big impact. I think either way, he's going to be a great run stopper, but I think Jones is going to have a little bit of an edge, considering that he's definitely not too bad at getting at the quarterback as well. All right. Number 8. This one I actually considered putting a bit higher because we haven't really had a player to the caliber of Tyler Conklin at tight end in quite some time. I think the closest, and what's kind of funny is it's kind of ludicrous to think, but the closest to me kind of felt like the Jared Cook sort of days. He was really on the last leg of his career, but he still put up, some nice production. Tyler Conklin, who's not the same tight end at all as Jared Cook, but a very reliable player that has been, a high value sort of player at the position for the last couple of years with the Jets. That's just because he's so dang reliable. He's going to get out there and get open for his quarterback, something that we haven't quite seen from the tight end position in a few seasons now. Gerald Everett has been okay. The Chargers have been trying to bring in, a Congo line of tight ends, figuring out who's the next guy for the Chargers. I think they may have found something very, very special in Oronde Gadsden, coming in from the draft this season, but he's going to need some time to marinate. And I think that in the meantime, Tyler Conklin is an excellent answer as someone that you're looking to really play that safety role for the Chargers, safety valve role for the Chargers, and Justin Herbert just having a reliable target that he can throw it up to, that's got nice hands, definitely can go up and contested catches, has the radius to be a red zone target too. You just go out and look at a lot of his plays in New York, man, even with, Aaron Rodgers kind of struggling in those seasons. Conklin was very, very safe. There's a lot of mouths to feed out there, and despite that, he put up some nice production. I think we're going to see a shockingly nice season from Tyler Conklin. Again, we don't need him to be a 700 or 800 yard tight end, with 10 touchdowns, but we do need him to be in and around the range of 400 or 500 yards, providing some stability from the position. I think that's exactly what he was brought in to do. I would not in the least bit be shocked if he did exceed those numbers by a good amount. I mean, if you were to say, hey, director, Tyler Conklin ended the year, with 700 yards or 750 yards and 6 touchdowns, and be like, yeah, sure. That's Conklin seems like the kind of guy that can definitely handle the workload like that. And it's going to be nice to put Conklin in this place, to really free up Will Dissly to be that blocking tight end, to really, segue Gadsden into the league as that rookie prospect. Just feel like the tight end room all of a sudden feels like everything sort of fit into place all of a sudden. And Conklin's going to bring a nice answer to the position for Justin Herbert. Next up, we got Andre James at number 7. And this is one that I think it gets me pretty excited. You don't really think about, a lot of these veteran players like I've been listing coming in and being that, breakout. But I noticed the other day, when I was doing our schedule video, right, I did a whole, if you guys haven't seen my last video, I make a lot of graphics on this channel to kind of help, provide a bit of eye candy outside of the director on the bottom right hand of the screen, to display what I'm trying to talk about. And in those graphics, I went through and I listed a lot of players that have been impact players for each one of our opponents. And some of the best players, or some of the best teams, I should say, really hit on free agency. Not so much, with the big huge signings, but the guys that come in as maybe underdogs or prove it guys, and they really fit in their new home. I think the Steelers are a great example of that. They do have some big guys on the roster. Minka Fitzpatrick was huge. He ended up being a star with them. I expect DK Metcalf to be awesome with them as well. The Steelers are a great example of having a lot of players come in and just really fit with what they're trying to do. And fortunately for the Chargers, they actually really fit the mold of the AFC North, blueprint. All these guys playing rough and physical football and trying to get players to fit into a system that honestly, they're very good at hand picking. And I expect the Chargers to do the same thing this season with Andre James. A lot of question marks revolving around the center position. We're seeing a lot of footage right now of Zion Johnson, snapping to Justin Herbert right now. And who knows how that's going to work out. But I got a feeling about Andre James being reintroduced to a scheme, a system that fits his skill set beautifully. He's going to be that power guy that we've been looking for. He's got the strength, and he's got, the understanding of man gap that was so successful with him in his days with the Raiders and Josh Jacobs. I expect to see a bit of a resurgence from him, something that the Chargers have been so good at doing on the offensive side of the football this time. And maybe giving us our starting center at the top of the season. I think right now the race feels a little bit weird. Like, is it going to be Bozeman? We're seeing a lot of, Zion Johnson right now. I honestly think it's going to be Andre James. And I think we're going to see a nice little breakout from him, considering we fit his skill set so beautifully. And I do think it's going to make a difference. At number 6, a position that the Chargers seemingly have the whisperer for on the sidelines. It's going to be cornerback. Dante Jackson coming in from, the Panthers and the Steelers. Very much so a playmaker out there. Has a nose for the football. Wants to get up there and make good plays or big plays, turnovers. He kind of feels like the capitalizer, right? You got corners with different roles. You got Tarheeb Still, the slot guy, or the nickel. You got Cam Hart, the big outside guy. Dante Jackson feels like the capitalizer, the guy that can go out there and punish a quarterback for a mistake, a bad read, a bad throw, and take it the other way, right? And the Chargers defense really feels designed around that idea. You got a whole, slew of pass rushers rotating in, fresh legs, constant heat, and you're going to see mistakes from the quarterback. Dante Jackson has been excellent in generating turnovers in his career. Yeah, maybe up and down a little bit in coverage, but the Chargers just know what they're doing at the cornerback position. I expect to see a nice jump from him, much like we saw with Christian Fulton, who was considered a very big bust in the league up until he came onto the Chargers roster. I'm expecting the same thing from Dante. I don't know so much about, St. Juice, the other corner that we did sign. I think there's potential for that, but Dante Jackson just kind of feels like that guy, the next Christian Fulton for this roster. Considering his size, his speed, he's one of the fastest, players on the team. He's a really good, turnover guy. I think you're going to be surprised at his production this year. So Dante's going to be at number 6 for me. Moving into the top half, at number 5, let's bring back Teair Tart and bring in a new story that's familiar to what the Chargers had last season. Now, you guys, we talked about Naquan Jones, right? His story very familiar to Teair Tart, who last season, you guys remember, he finally landed with the Chargers. He had been bouncing around teams. There was character concerns, and he really straightened out and put up a nice season for the Bolts, rotating in the interior, earning himself a nice extension. Meanwhile, there's another player by the name of Poona Ford holding down the field, or holding down the position of nose tackle at a very high level that nobody expected at the top of the season. When we first signed Poona Ford in 24, I thought, okay, cool, we got a guy that can maybe come in and provide a body, and there's a little bit of upside. We know he's been good in the past, but man, he really popped with the Chargers last year, earning himself a nice fat payday from the Los Angeles Rams. He's going to be one of their starting players in their defense now. Like I said with Naquan Jones being the new Teair Tart, I think Teair Tart could be the new Poona Ford. I really honestly do. Teair Tart is not a bad pass rusher. Teair Tart's got some nice mass to him. He's a good run stopper. I really do think Teair Tart, like we were all, blindsided by the fact Poona Ford was so good last year, I think Teair Tart could be the new Poona Ford and blindside us again. Wow. We knew he was good. He rotated in. He was fine, but now he's an awesome, proven player playing nose tackle for the Chargers. So I'm very excited to see his next step. I really do think he got the extension because the Chargers want to put more on his plate, and they trust him to be the next guy if they have to. And I think there's all the possibility in the world that he does become the next guy that would be worthy of a Poona Ford size contract, but the Chargers, they have a way of handing out money. I think they're very intelligent about it. I think Teair Tart is going to be another example of that by season's end. Moving into the top 3. This next player, man, I think everyone is so excited to see. Or top 4. So excited to see Tre Harris, wide receiver coming in from Ole Miss. It's going to be difficult, in my opinion, for Tre Harris not to break out in his rookie season. Again, breakout, I don't need a Ladd McConkey season from Tre Harris. Let's make that clear. From Tre Harris, I need maybe 600-700 yards. It would be nice to see a good amount of touchdowns. Let's say like 6 or 7 touchdowns. That would be awesome. But what I mean by breakout for Tre Harris is that there are so few examples in the draft where it is just such a perfect fit. It's almost impossible for them not to get involved early. And it's a little tricky for Tre Harris because we do have Mike Williams as an X guy this season. I do fully expect there to be, maybe some shared responsibility between the two of them as the X guy. Maybe you see both of them on the field at some point. Quentin Johnston playing 4 or Z or whatever. I think, Tre Harris is going to be difficult to keep off the field after a little while, though, because he's so good at getting open versus man. He's so good in contested catch situations. He's so good at playing the perimeter as an X receiver, which is exactly what the Chargers were lacking last season, that it's going to be very beneficial to everybody that he stays on the field more often than not. It's going to open up Ladd McConkey to get open underneath. Heck, even Quentin Johnston's going to benefit a whole lot from that as well. Not to mention the actual production that Trey Harris should be bringing in, playing that X role. Justin Herbert loves weapons like that. We've seen that throughout his entire career with Mike Williams. You're going to see that connection again, Mike and Justin, but Trey Harris is going to be eased in, man. He's going to be that next Mike Williams, and you're going to see the same trust begin to develop between him and Justin Herbert. It's because his talent wardens that trust with Justin Herbert, and it's going to be nice, man. I'm excited to see what he can do. I'm more excited to see how he affects the offense as a whole, but I think it's going to be tough to keep Trey Harris off the field, considering just how good he is at what he does in the perimeter, and just how much Justin Herbert loves giving guys like that a shot, and especially if they have a high success rate like him and of course Mike Williams. Now moving into the top three, a player that honestly, guys, I don't know if he's lost a lot of attention from the fan base or what have you, but this next guy, man, I think he could be the dude that maybe he could even be number one on this list, depending on how his season shakes out. That's going to be Junior Colson, linebacker. I did go and get a throwback to the Michigan days. That's because I want people to think of this version of Junior Colson. The dude was the leader on that defense, played excellent for the position. Really, really, really trustworthy leader of the defense that produced so much in terms of tackles, in terms of coverage even, and fits, obviously, the Chargers defense beautifully, considering it's exactly what he ran with Jesse Minter. Now, unfortunately, there was some injury stuff, and I even asserted, was it appendix, if I remember correctly, at the top of the season last year in the offseason, that kind of kept him on and off the field a lot this year. But just like another player, and again, we're kind of seeing history repeat itself all over this list. Just like another player last year in Daiyan Henley, I expect a second-year breakout to be almost imminent at this point for Junior Colson. I was actually just reading an article, too, by Denzel Perryman talking about just how much he is impressed with Junior Colson and how much he's grown. I think you're going to see that translate to the field this year. Much like we saw Daiyan Henley really break out last season, he became that very reliable tackler, coverage guy, good versus the run. I think Junior Colson could even take it to that next level. Colson and Henley may end up being one of the most consistent and respected duos at linebacker in the league over the next couple of seasons. I think you're going to start seeing that this year with Junior Colson, who, again, he's got great size, he's got decent speed, he's got incredible awareness. I think you're going to see some nice production from him this year. So he's my number 3 guy, but mind you, he could end up being number 1. I really do firmly believe that he's going to have a nice season in 25. At number 2, a player that I think it's inevitable. It's going to happen. He's going to take that next step. I already think he's a great player. Even if you just look at his stats, he's already a great player. But I think he's going to take it up even another level, and that's Tuli Tuipulotu, who a lot of us expected last year in that weird contract situation. If you guys will remember, we weren't sure if we were going to have Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, or even both. But that ended up, being the case, and Tuli stayed in rotation. And honestly, I think did Tuli end up leading the team in sacks? I think that's what ended up happening. I think he got 8 sacks last year, which is one of the best in the league, man. Like, Tuipulotu, he's the real deal. And now we're going to see a situation where he's going to be pushed even further into the limelight, considering Joey Bosa, got released. He's now with the Bills, and Tuli's going to pick up a lot of that responsibility left behind by Joey. And I think he's going to really run with it, man. Him and Khalil Mack, they're going to have some nice success, familiar success that we've seen from the edge position for the Chargers the last couple of seasons. We know Tuli's already a great player, but now considering that his workload is going to increase, I wouldn't be the least bit shocked if Tuli ends up with double-digit sacks this year. That's really easy to believe, right? Considering he got 8 in rotation last year, giving him more work this year, I think you can definitely squeeze out an extra 2, if not more, sacks in the 25 season. I think he could end up being one of the, top, 10, 5 even, edge players in football, considering, how good he's been so far, the potential he has in the system. And what he's already proven even last year. So I like Thule a lot, man. I think you're going to see a lot more 45s worn in Thunder Alley next season, considering the kind of year I think Thule's going to have. He's going to get a lot of attention from fans and the league. I'm very excited to see how his year goes. And finally, my number one player, I don't want a single one of you to roll your eyes at me, because we've been pounding the table too hard and too long for the idea of this player coming to the Chargers. It's going to be Omarion Hampton, okay? Omarion Hampton may just be the chosen one. I say that a lot about Justin Herbert because, man, the dude is for real. Like, when talking about the best players at their position in football, Justin Herbert, we all know, is up there, right? He's a top 5 quarterback. Omarion Hampton, to me, he will, and I'm almost firmly like, I would put money on it pretty much. He's a top 10 running back this year. Absolutely. He could be even higher than that. Top 5, maybe, I don't know. But the reason I'm so high on Omarion Hampton is because his skill is already incredible. If it weren't for Ashton Genty, Omarion would have gotten so much more, attention. He would have been hailed as the best running back in this class by a wide margin. He maybe even would have been picked inside the top 15, considering we're seeing the position get selected. Ours is top 20, considering the position gets selected a lot higher nowadays. I do think Omarion Hampton, individually as a talent, is very, very exceptional. What he did at NC, without pretty much any help on the offensive line, his individual effort, talent, skill, size, power, traits, all of these things, added up to an incredibly successful season and career for him at UNC. And I do think that is going to translate so well to the Chargers, who have been scraping together the means of a run identity over the last season with, Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. You insert a player like Omarion Hampton, and yes, even Najee Harris. Those guys are going to be a nice 1-2 punch. I think it's almost impossible not to see an immediate result that is very, very good for the Chargers offense. You bring in an individual talent this good, it's already amazing. But now he's running behind Joe Alt, Rashawn Slater, Mekhi Becton. Who knows what's going to happen in terms of, the center position. Maybe we see a resurgence from Zion. But Omarion Hampton, the individual talent already gets me so excited. His situation has improved, and the Chargers want to build their identity around a player exactly like him. I think he could end up being one of those huge players that, fantasy football players are all thinking, we should have taken him a lot higher. One of those guys that you think of immediately when thinking about the Chargers offense. Him and Justin Herbert really rocked that out. Him, Justin Herbert, Ladd McConkey are like the 3 guys that you look for on that team. I really do think Omarion Hampton's going to be not just a star, but like a superstar in this league at some point. And I think you're going to see it begin this year. I'm as high on him as I have been on any team or any player that we've ever drafted in my time being a Chargers fan. I am very, very excited to see how that all shakes out with him. All right, so you guys let me know some of your top breakout potential players for the Chargers this season. This happens to be mine. I think it's a good list. You guys let me know if there's guys that I'm missing, guys that needed to be higher, some other rookies that didn't make the list that might have some more work this season than we're thinking. It's all a good time, man. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. If you like what you saw here, hit us up with a like and sub on your way out. We'll see you next time. As always, bolt up, stay frosty. Can I see, a 1,200-yard season for Omarion Hampton and 12 touchdowns? I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility at all.